This is big brain time.
Welcome to a video on how to get good at the Z7 Imp, the most blatant form of pay-to-win bullshit within Garden Warfare 2. Players who can master what is essentially one of the most powerful characters in the game will know the true power of spending £8 on a veggie game. Let's get started. The Z7 Imp is a variant of the Imp class who can only be played by either the Town Hall or through purchasing the Deluxe Edition, because PopCap really need that money with how much of a shit show PVZ3 is setting itself up to be. His primary weapon of choice is of a pair of semi-automatic fuck you guns that are blessed with the power of you spending money for this character, so they are automatically top tier weapons. The weapon can fire at up to a maximum of 500 rounds per minute, which looks like this, and has 18 ammo per clip before needing to take a 1.5 second reload. Each shot fired can deal 12 damage for a normal hit and 14.4 for a critical hit, though the weapon does suffer significantly at mid-range, going down to 6 damage for a normal hit and 7.2 for a critical hit. Z7 Imp is also blessed with having one of the fastest projectiles in the entire game, so the player won't have to use more than 3% of their brain trying to lead projectiles against targets at sniper distances, since as we all know, the average PVZ player suffers massive skill issue when trying to track enemies from more than 7 feet away. So far, this grants Z7 an extremely high damage output, one that far surpasses most imps and classes, as long as the player has a good trigger finger and can land more than 30% of their shots. Even at sniper ranges, where his damage output is cut in half, as long as the player has half decent trigger discipline, they will be able to melt the fuck out of their enemies faster than PopCap, killing the Frostbite modding support for the PC version of the game. But obviously, when it comes to imps, this is only half the story, since each variant of Brickster's favorite way to deliver suffering to sunflower mains has a unique mech, and the Z7 Imp is no exception. The Z7 mech, ironically, is widely considered to be one of the weaker mechs in the game, due to its abilities not being as strong as what other mechs can provide. However, that does not mean that this metallic heap of shit can still hold its own in its own regard. It has the same health and speed as the stock mech, but that is all of the similarities it shares. It comes with its own primary weapon, being of a fuck-off powerful pay-to-win blasting bullshit launcher that fires out powerful blue projectiles of fuckery. The weapon fires at 700 rounds per minute and can fire for up to an impressive 7.6 seconds before finally suffering at overheat, where the weapon will become unavailable for the next 3.75 seconds. Each shot fired can deal 11 damage for a normal hit and 13.2 for a critical hit, which drops down to 7 damage for a normal hit and 8.4 for a critical hit at mid-range, with how long the mech can fire for, lasting almost 8 entire fucking seconds. If you see any enemy, regardless of how bulky they are, feel free to just hold down the fire button and unload your high as fuck damage output into them, since you are likely to kill them long before you end up overheating your weapon. Just don't act like it's infinite and think that it'll never overheat, or you will end up looking as stupid as an EP main who thinks he can 1v7 the enemy team and thinks he's such hot shit. The two abilities that this mech has actually have some synergy with one another and work fairly well together. The first of these is the Bionic Blade, or more actually, the Bionic Nut Slicer. This shit will cause the mech to swing a massive sword, dealing 80 damage within a 7 meter range. This can be useful to engage fights with a burst of damage, or finishing off enemies if you know they only have a bee's dick's amount of health left. This also forces plants out of rooted abilities such as P-Gatling, and does some slight knockback as well. The other is a Tesco's home brand Roadhog hook, in the form of a blue ball of go fuck yourself. The ball homes in on enemies, and has a maximum lock-on range of 50 meters. If any plant is hit by this ball of go fuck yourself, it will first stun them, and force them out of any rooted ability, or in Chomper's case, if they're underground, it will force them right the fuck out. It will then pull the enemy towards you, with the velocity depending on how far away the enemy was when you decided to vibe check them. This can be used in conjunction with the Bionic Blade, to give those fucks a slap to the face, and smack some sense into their fucking skulls. The Bionic Mech blade has a 15-second cooldown once used, and the biotic pull has a 20-second cooldown, so the two can be synergized together fairly often. The optimal upgrade setup for the Z7 Imp would be the ammo, damage, and health upgrades, with the ammo and damage upgrades being especially important, as they transform Z7 Imp's damage output, which bearing in mind was already fucking high enough, into the point where he can rival even certain Z-mechs in terms of damage output. The health upgrade allows you to sponge a few extra hits, as well as offset certain damage thresholds. In terms of strengths, the Z7 Imp has an insanely high damage output that allows him to shred though any class at close range, and pepper enemies for a fairly high amount of damage at longer distances. His mech has an extremely strong primary that can melt through any class long before overheating, and its ability synergies extremely well together, with devastating combos. Honestly, the only real bad thing about Z7 Imp is his lack of health outside of the mech, and that the mech's abilities depend on one another in order to perform greatly. He is honestly just that good. Thanks to this guide, you will now be the master of giving PopCap your pocket change in exchange for receiving one of the most powerful characters known to man, and dominate lobbies accordingly. Be sure to come back for the next episode next week. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more shit like this. Have fun.